Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate, and I'm Ken Dekker.
And I'm Yetta Dekker.
And together we form part of the Dekker Team, and today we're going to talk about another market update, which is one of the most, favorite topics of most people, because if you own a home or you're thinking of buying a home, you really want to know what the market's doing.
Right. So pretty much every month, I don't promise you that we do it every month. However, most months we actually do a market update for you, and we tend to do it as a general overview of the city of Ottawa. And this month we're going to give you a little bit of a twist, and we will attempt to do that from time to time, highlight a particular neighborhood just for part of the show, so that you're still getting the general information, so there's something for everybody if you're in Ottawa.
Yes.
And then we're going to do a little feature this month on Manotick.
And Barrhaven.
And Barrhaven.
Yes.
And then we're going to feature a property in Barrhaven. We're going to sneak in two and one in Manotick. Because if we're going to give you the stats, we might as well give you a great possibility of a home in those two communities.
Well, that's great. And if you're not thinking of those areas, you don't live in those areas, stay tuned, because we've got general market update.
Yeah. And
do not turn off your radio.
Or your video.
Or your video. We got some fun. Okay, so overall, MLS sales for the Ottawa region through the Ottawa Real Estate Board were cold.
Yes, they were cold. And that's because?
April was cold.
Right. And therefore?
Well?
Sales didn't bloom?
No, and neither did the flowers or the trees. So they're coming in May this year instead.
It looks like it, because we're just beginning, and we're just the first few days into May as we record this show, because unfortunately the stats come out about a week after. And then we attempt to get this show recorded into you within a week or so of that, so that you've got solid information in the very accurate information that's very pertinent to what's going on.
So let's talk. It's again a kind of a good news, bad news situation. So let's
every month. Yeah. I just want to know that I'm the good cop and you're the bad cop.
No, you're always the good news.
Oh, that's not true.
You want to give the good news?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So anyway, condo sales.
Yes.
We have been building condos.
In terms of inventory.
Inventory.
Not physically. Well, we are building them as well. There's lots of new. This doesn't even take into consideration the new construction.
It does not.
This only takes into consideration the MLS condos.
So let's talk. Overall, real estate sales were down. That's all categories. That's farm, land, houses, condos, everything.
Right.
Down 9.5% in the month of April, over April the previous year.
Right.
Yeah. Now,
still up from March in terms of more sales this April than there was the month before.
Yeah, approximately 18% more sales in April than there was in March.
Which is typical to even be higher than that.
Yes. Yeah. This is significantly low. So let's look at condos. 257 sales.
Right.
Okay. 300 sales in 2013. So we're talking a 14.3% decrease in the number of sales. Now, if you're dropping sales, the other thing is what's happening with inventory. And of course, inventory is up as well. So if sales are down and inventory is up, where's the pricing going?
Down.
Down. Now, the average in April was only down 3% from April the previous year, but it's still down.
And again, and I know we say this every time we record a show about the stats, there's a few factors that can create a average down when really maybe it's not down on your specific unit. So you still want to connect with us to find out about your neighborhood, because it's not a bad news story across the city or in every area. Because if we have a few large condos, when you've got under 300 units selling, it doesn't take very much to change the stats if you have an extra 10 or 15 high-end condos. You have 10 in Rockcliffe at about $1 million sell, which we have done, and there are lots of condos in the city that will sell close to $1 million or over $1 million.
Yeah.
And so therefore, if some of those sold versus some of them not selling, that will change your average quite a lot when you're only dealing with 257 sales.
Yes, absolutely. And so
don't be scared.
No, don't be scared. But so volume of condos in sales volume was down 14.3%. But prices were only down 3%.
On average.
On average.
Right.
Okay, now, not only do we look at the neighborhood you're in if you have a home to sell, but we're also going to look at the price range you're in,
Yes.
and look at what that price range is doing. Because sometimes a price range in a neighborhood is going up and a different price range is going down.
In the same neighborhood.
In the same neighborhood.
Even like the same street.
Yeah, because you might have, $400,000 houses and $800,000 houses, and one market may be going up and the other one going down as far as pricing.
And not always is it the higher price range that's being adversely affected.
Not always.
So I think a lot of times people go, well, that's the white elephant. That's the thing that's not going to sell. That is not always the case. I would say more commonly than the lower end.
Yeah.
However, because of the pressures we've had over the past year on financing, in fact, sometimes it's harder in the low end to finance than it is in the high end.
Yeah, so, and also sometimes if the overall economy is affected for the average person, that may not affect the affluent as much if they have a business or something that money's flowing regularly. They may want.
Can you talk regularly?
I am today.
Okay, good.
So they, they might not be affected by some of the shifts in the lending practices.
Well, they may have more in reserves too, even if
may.
their business is down, because I think when the economy goes down, business owners are just as affected as somebody that's not a business, maybe even more so than somebody that's an employee, except they may have more sitting in reserves, depending on how they've been running their life and their business.
So let's look at I like to go back to 2010 and just see where...
Why 2010? Is that a favorite year?
Well, next year will be 2011 because the charts that I have are basically a 5-year chart.
Okay.
So 2010, there were 400 sales in April.
Right.
So that's a pretty significant, almost half the number of sales from 5 years ago. The other thing that's...
Not quite half. 257 is not half of 400.
Okay.
That'd be
60%.
have to be, okay, there you go. Let's not make it worse than it is.
Yes.
You're
All
usually
right.
the detail guy.
Yes.
And here I'm being the detail girl?
Yes.
Okay.
So anyways, inventory is the...
About the same as it was 5 years ago.
No.
No?
No, inventory's way up, you see?
Even from 5 years ago?
Yeah, when we sold...
With
When we sold 400 condos in 2010,
right?
there were only 840 for sale that month. Wow. So that
meant there was only like 2 months worth of inventory.
2 months worth of inventory, exactly. You catch on really quick.
Thanks.
So,
did you teach me everything I know?
No.
Okay.
I was going to say I taught you everything I know, but that's not true either. So 2013, 1,675 houses.
Okay.
So that was last year, available for sale at the end of April.
Right.
So that's 5.6%, 5.6 months inventory
Right.
back then.
Right.
Now, when I did the stats for last year, the last 12 months, 1,950 available at the end of April. And with the sales, that puts us at 7.6 months worth of inventory.
Right.
On average.
And so I'm going to just recap quickly again. I do this almost every show that we talk about stats because it really helps us understand what does it mean. It's great to say 2 months worth of inventory. It's great to say 5.6 months of inventory. It's great to say 7.6 months of inventory. What does that really mean what does it mean to you? What does it mean to me as a homeowner and somebody that might want to sell or buy property? So 0 to 3 months worth of inventory represents a very good seller's market.
Right.
3 to 6 months worth of inventory represents a balanced market. Either tending toward a seller's market or tending toward a buyer's market, depending on where you're at in that 4 to 6.
Right.
And then from 7 to 9 months worth of inventory, it very much represents a buyer's market. And then 10 plus months worth of inventory represents a depressed market.
Yeah. And so if you're thinking of buying a condominium, now's not necessarily a bad time.
It's a great time. Are you kidding?
Huge inventory.
Yeah.
Downward pressure on prices.
Yeah.
I mean, they won't keep going down forever.
No.
Well,
the good news with Ottawa.
Yeah, the last 60 years in Ottawa, values only went down 5 times.
Right.
That means I can show it on one hand, which
Right.
means...
Which is awesome in 60 years, because that takes 6 of these. Let's see if I can do it. 4, 5, 6 of those.
6 hands.
With only 5.
6 sets of hands. Anyways.
Yes.
You're
with
confusing
only,
our listeners.
No, because lots of them are watching us, so they get to see my little hand visual.
Okay.
And so with only 5 years, with a decrease in the market. So we've had 55 years. Do you want me to do that too? No? Okay. So with 55 years worth of increasing, or a few of those years was reasonably flat with only minor increase. And even the years that were decreases, the majority of those were very minor.
Yeah, in
half
some
a
areas
percent,
still went up.
1%, and some areas even went up in that market.
Yeah. So that's kind of a snapshot on the overall condominium market. Now we have freeholds. And freeholds, someone asked me the other day, well, what exactly is a freehold? A freehold is the actual way that you hold title. So you're not holding title in common with other people, because condos have common elements, and you don't really own the ground, you own the inside of the building. Whereas with a freehold, you own the actual dirt and ground to a certain level. Not very deep, but you own some of it. And then...
and so it doesn't necessarily mean the style of house, though.
No.
And so you can have a freehold townhome.
Yes.
And you could have a single-family home that looks like a single-family residential detached dwelling that actually is a condominium.
Yes, you could.
So, and there are those in the city of Ottawa. Not too many of those, however, they do exist. So what it looks like doesn't denote whether it is freehold or condominium. And of course, we're going to throw in one more little caveat of a type of ownership, and I guess it's freehold, except it's on a private road.
Yeah, it's still freehold, but it has a common element.
It still has a condo fee for the maintenance.
Yeah, of that
So that's
road.
your little
And it's all in the way
nuance there.
title is held.
And it all has to do with title. And those are easy to identify because they're on streets that end with the word private. Well, no, but seriously, most people don't know. I was just showing property the other day, and they said, well, how come you know this one has a fee? And I said, well, because the street ends with the word private, so that guarantees you probably pay somewhere from $60 to $100 a month for the maintenance of that common road, because it's not actually owned by the city or cared for by the city. It's owned and cared for by the developer that developed the subdivision, and typically those private roads are a little narrower.
Yes, they are.
Because that's one of the benefits for the developer to create a private versus a city-owned road, because they can actually get more homes on the same amount of land by making the streets narrower.
Narrower streets, not as much road allowance on the...
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, back to freehold.
Oh, but come on, this is fun. This is education. You know
It's
I'm all
great.
about education.
It's great.
Okay, thank you.
So, 2013, we had 1,250 sales in April. This year, 1,150. So what's that? A decrease of maybe 8% or something like that?
100 units down?
Yeah, 100 units down. So in 2010, we had 1,400 sales. So still not too bad. What's interesting is values of the freeholds on average.
That's still 250 less, though.
Yeah.
That's not happy.
No.
Especially when we talk about the fact that
over
there's...
a 5-year period. So we're not talking a huge decrease. But you would think with more houses, more population, your sales would be going up over 5 years, not going
Which
down.
was the history for the previous...
Yeah, we've been going up, up, up.
Right.
But the last few years, we've been going down, down, down.
Yeah.
So, 399,541, you might as well say 400,000 was the average sale price. That's up 0.9%, so almost 1%.
In the last...
Month over month, April over April, 1 year.
Since 1 year.
Yeah.
So it's actually up on average 0.9%.
Yeah.
So the great news is prices
Almost
are
flat.
not actually down.
Not of freeholds.
Right. Right. I hear you. Okay. And that's a good thing on average. And yet there are still pockets.
There's pockets that have gone down, pockets that are going up.
At least what we're noticing is when people are pricing their home with anticipating an increase from last spring, they're actually seeing that they're doing price reductions on homes. We're watching more price adjustments, and now that we can actually easily, not that we couldn't always do it, now it's easy to watch the cumulative days on market. We're seeing on average in excess of 100 days on market, on average, in most pockets.
Yeah, in some pockets. And I've actually got some overall stats for us as well.
Okay.
So
if you're just joining us now, what are we talking about today? Because you're on the inside track on real estate with the Dekker team.
And we're talking about the real estate market in the Ottawa area. Yeah. And now, so what's happened is inventory's climbing of residential and condo property. So residential property, year over year, we're up 10%. Residential freehold. And condominium freeholds, we're up 16% year over year in the amount of inventory. So sales are down, inventory's up. If we go to 5 years, or 2010, back to 2010, our inventory of freeholds is actually up 60%.
Wow.
Right? Not so much wow compared to condominium. Condominium's up 132% in inventory.
Double wow.
Yeah, so little over 2.25 times the amount of condominiums for sale, and yet sales are down
in volume
from 5 years, or from 2010. So
well, and from last year, from every year over the past 5 years.
Yeah, so this is what's pushing that days on market to increase, and the amount of inventory, the number of months of inventory. Because don't forget, that's if no new inventory comes on the market. Right. We have 7.6 months of condominiums for sale, if not a single another one came up for sale. But the truth is, just as many come on the market as sell, or actually more, because some come off the market that never sell.
Right.
So very important that you price accurately and you aggressively market.
Right. And we've talked about this on other shows, and I do encourage you to go back and listen. Just premium property preparation, the price, watching the market, price watch, the different things that we on the Dekker team do, proactive marketing, as well as calling and prospecting aggressively to find buyers. It actually all makes a significant difference, and more than ever.
Yes. So let's see if we're in a balanced or a buyer's market with freeholds. Okay. So in 2010, we had 2.6 months worth of inventory.
Which was let's recap.
A
seller's market. Don't get confused.
A very good seller's market.
Right.
2013, we had 4.3 months on average.
Right, so that was balanced.
Yeah.
Moving into the middle of balanced.
Yep.
So feeling a little more.
2014, 5.1 months.
Okay.
Still balanced.
Okay, as an overall picture. Moving toward that buyer's market.
Well, if the trend continues of increasing inventory and reduction in sales, absolutely. I'm blaming a lot of it on that cold April.
I think you're exaggerating because we've been seeing it every month for the past year.
But I know that our first week of May has been significantly up over what we were doing in April, just as far as our personal sales go. So it's heating up.
It is heating up. Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about Manotick and Rideau Forest.
Okay.
Very interesting.
So we include, when we say Manotick and Rideau Forest, just so for the listeners that maybe don't know the area so well, we're talking about Manotick Estates, we're talking about the Village, we're talking about North Island, we're talking about South Island, and we're talking about Rideau Forest.
Yeah, and actually through in
Carlton Golf and Yacht. So Carlton Golf and Yacht, which is on Rideau Valley Drive, the main street coming out of Manotick.
So all of that area.
Right.
So 104 active houses for sale.
Right.
102 sold in the last 12 months.
Okay.
So that's about 12 months worth of inventory.
Yes, it is.
Now what's interesting is because you're in a different price range here. The average for sale right now in Manotick area is $1,057,000.
Okay.
Okay. 57,000. So significantly higher than the average in the Ottawa area.
Right.
The average of the sold ones, though, interesting enough,
is only 608.
608.
Right.
So that tells you either that segment of the market is selling and the other isn't selling as much.
Right.
So if you ever were thinking of buying a luxury home, an estate kind of home, now's the opportunity in Manotick.
It's a great opportunity.
Great. And then I looked at the previous 12 months, so 2012 to 2013, same thing, 100 sold and 12 months worth of inventory. The average sale price then was $612,000.
Well,
so
613 really.
613, yeah. So down slightly, maybe $5,000 down in a $608,000 price range. That's pretty insignificant.
Well, it's not even 1%.
So in Manotick, they're getting 96% of their asking price on average, and it's taking 64 days.
I thought 84. 82?
Yes, sorry. 82 for the last 12 months. The previous 12 months, 2012 to 2013,
it was
64 days. So the number of days on market's going up.
Almost
They're still
20
getting
days.
about 96% of their asking price.
So that's good.
Yeah, that's good. So let's talk about Stonebridge, Barrhaven, Half Moon Bay.
Right.
Now, these stats are only for freehold.
Okay.
I didn't do condominium. I just did freehold.
Because it gets really confusing when we just spout numbers for a half an hour.
Yeah.
So if you really do want your specific ones, please connect with us and we can set you up on a really amazing custom search of your neighborhood, and you'll know exactly what's going on, whether it's the condo market or the freehold market. We can make it as specific as you want or as general, and it just really allows you as a seller or even a buyer thinking of a particular neighborhood to watch what the market is doing, and we can set that up to come out to you monthly or even weekly or more recent or more frequently. It's just if it's much more frequently than weekly, it really doesn't help.
No.
Monthly is probably the best.
If you're just watching the market, yes.
Yeah.
So for Barrhaven area, which includes Stonebridge, Half Moon Bay, the average, there's 397 active listings.
Right.
Average price of $432.
Yep.
So relatively affordable. There were 957 sold.
Right.
So at an average of $371.
Okay.
That was 98% of asking price. So pretty good.
Yeah.
And 35 days.
And that includes your cumulative days on market.
Yep.
That's awesome, actually.
So that's very good. Barrhaven's a pretty good market. Previous 12 months, that's 2012, 2013 of May.
Right.
Sold 1,021.
Okay.
Average sale price $373. So down like $2,000.
Right.
Virtually nothing. Yeah. Again, 98% of asking price, and the difference 28 days compared to 35 days.
Right.
So very, very close.
And there was 5 months inventory, though.
Yes.
And now there's 12 months worth of inventory, right?
No, not in Barrhaven.
No? Okay.
No, in Barrhaven, there's 5 months inventory.
Okay,
so
so
they're
we
kind of
still
running
have-
along the average.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's why when we're putting something on the market in Barrhaven, which we've just put several on the market, and we actually have offers that I think I'm going to get wrapped up today on a couple of them, we looked at the market from last year, decided to price it right around where last year's market was, thinking they might be perceived to be real bargains. And I don't know that bargains is the right word, except they've certainly brought offers within a couple of weeks versus what I'm watching out there. Many things are starting to take 60 days or 70 days, because if we're doing an average of 28, my 13, 14...
pricing for an increase that's not happening.
Exactly.
You got to price on last year's pricing.
And that's somewhere where we can be valuable to you and really bring an asset, because we did live through the market in the 90s. When we talked about those 5 years where the market was down, 3 of those 5 years was in the 90s.
1994, when I got into real estate, was the first year the market went down. I think I caused it.
I think you did too. I'm going to blame you for it, actually.
I take blame for it all the time.
And
I'm
so,
okay with that.
having lived in a shifting market, and in fact thrived in that shifting market, that's when we built our market share, was in that shifting market. So we can really be an asset to you, because we're not going to overprice your property. We understand what you need to do to actually get it sold in what's called a shifting market.
So now I did another thing, and I said, okay, well, that's those two areas, right?
Right.
Let's look at the whole board, all categories.
Okay.
Lots, farms, freehold,
Just
condos,
for fun.
Everything, just for fun. So over the last 12 months, we've sold 15,290 homes. Not me personally, but the
That would be fun if it was you.
Yes, it would, wouldn't it? I think I wouldn't have any sleep. Active properties for sale, 11,096.
Okay.
So, interesting enough, the average list price right now is $378.
Okay.
The average sold price was $344.
Okay.
$344,000.
In all categories.
In
so
all
that
categories.
includes your condominiums, that includes your freeholds.
Yep. There's about 8.7 months of inventory, roughly, in all categories.
Yep.
And the average MLS is 97% of asking price is what they received, and 54 days.
Okay.
So you know what I thought, Yara?
No.
I thought, you know what? How's the Dekker team stack up against the 3,000 other realtors that work on the MLS? Because if you want to hire the Dekker team, you want to hire us because hopefully we're better than average.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, so let's look. So the Dekker team, for the last 12 months,
Right.
the average that they sold was $407,000.
651.
Yes, $651. Yep. $407,651. 99.7% of asking price. So that means we're beating the average
By 2.7%.
by 2.7%.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're a bit of a bargain if you want to use us for your services, because we're getting more than the average realtor is. And we're doing it in less days. Our average is 30 days
Wow.
on average. Some longer, some shorter.
Yeah, because we're also, and the interesting thing is our average is actually a good average to compare against the average because we do such a variety of properties.
Yes.
If you were comparing this
In
to
all
somebody
different
that,
areas.
right, in such a variety of areas and a variety of properties, and we've done that just because we love it. I mean, it's about the people, and so where you live, as long as we know how to market, we can market anywhere and we can sell your property and negotiate for you anywhere you are. So it means we don't have 12 properties in the same neighborhood for sale at the same time where they're competing against each other,
So
which
if
is kind of nice.
If you've got a, say, a $300,000 townhouse,
Yeah,
and we get you 2.7% more than the average,
yeah,
that's almost $9,000
yeah.
that you're going to make extra with the Dekker team than you would with another
That's
average
pretty cool.
realtor. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So we got a couple special properties. We want to talk
Yes.
about one in Manotick. It's a nice little bungalow, 3-bedroom, has a carport and a finished basement, renovated, gorgeous little kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's just the cutest little house. And so it's on the Manotick North Island, great location.
Which means it's on city services, right?
Yes, it has access to them. It's not hooked up.
Okay.
It's on city water. Sewer's at the street, but it's not hooked up.
Okay.
So you could have it hooked up, but the septic's working fine, so why switch it
Why,
when the
why
septic's
start
working
paying
fine?
for it?
Yeah. That one's listed at $387,000. And if you look at Manotick, remember what our average was?
Right,
Our average listing price is $1 million.
right.
So there's a chance to get into Manotick for $387,000.
Which is a bargain.
It's a great sale.
Right. And we have another great one in We've got a couple of other great ones in
but call us
Manotick.
for those.
Yeah.
Because you're going to highlight one in Barrhaven, you said, yes.
Barrhaven one is also a beautiful property. It is a 3-bedroom, lots of hardwood floors, well cared for. Families lived in it, family neighborhood. Yeah, it's just a sweet.
What price is that one?
$400,000.
$400,000
even.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that makes it priced well. I may not even have it by the time you call me. But if I don't have that one, I'll have another one.
Yes.
Or we'll have another great property out there for you. So it is just a great opportunity. And it's a single family, double car garage, ensuite bathroom, lots of nice little features.
So for your opportunity, give us a call at 613-860-4663. That number again is 613-860-4663. And get our proven performance working for you. You've been listening to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Dekker team, and we're glad you were here.
And it's proven performance that moves you fast. And that's proved today, so that's kind of neat. Anyway, thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye.